concept of Asian values was used by some of the ASEAN leaders, like Lee Kuan Yew and Mahathir Mohamad, to reject the universal concept of human rights.
Many people say that Asian values are different from Western values. They say this often in order to argue against our struggle for democracy.
Nowadays, people's movements on issues such as gender justice, democracy and human rights have pushed for changes in ASEAN. In 2007, ASEAN adopted the ASEAN Charter. The ASEAN Charter is the constitution for ASEAN. Some of its main purposes are to maintain peace and security, to promote regional political security and economic and socio-cultural cooperation, to create a single market region, to alleviate poverty and narrow the development gap, to promote a people-oriented ASEAN, to promote and protect human rights and fundamental freedom.
ASEAN Charter came pretty late after the establishment of the ASEAN.
It is a supreme law that has to be followed by all ASEAN member states.
It is clear that the ASEAN Charter is a charter for governments.
The ASEAN Charter supposedly expresses our intention that the civil society organizations or the peoples of ASEAN must be encouraged to participate in all the ASEAN matters.
One of the articles that I'm impressed, that is saying that the ASEAN people-oriented or ASEAN people-centered.
Article 14 of the Charter states that there shall be an ASEAN Human Rights Commission or mechanism that will be established.
ASEAN Charter menjadi penanda bahwa ASEAN memiliki komitmen lebih jauh di bidang kemanusiaan.
It's a step in the right direction in terms of the recognition of human rights.
I think ASEAN Charter is a very significant document to create the other ASEAN system, for instance, ASEAN, ASEAN Intergovernmental Commission on Human Rights.
In conformity with the purposes and principles of the ASEAN Charter relating to the promotion and protection of human rights and fundamental freedom, ASEAN has established the ASEAN Intergovernmental Commission on Human Rights, AICHR, and the ASEAN Commission on the Promotion and Protection of Women and Children, ACWC. AICHR is an integral part of the ASEAN organizational structure. It consists of 10 commissioners who are appointed by ASEAN member states. It has mandates to promote and protect human rights and fundamental freedom in ASEAN countries. Appointing the AICHR commissioners was rested upon ASEAN member states, where the selection process was not open for public participation.
They're not open to the civil society, they are not really open in terms of telling the people what they are doing, what they are planning, what they are thinking.
The country representatives that are membering the AICHR, they should have a better selection process.
Salah satu contohnya misalnya memberikan masukan-masukan apa sih hal-hal yang harus diperjuangkan, karena saya pikir civil society organization itu mengambil posisi yang penting dan lebih mengetahui persoalan-persoalan di grassroots.
In the decision-making process, it is most likely that the process will rely on the so-called ASEAN way with consensus and non-interference principles.
I don't also believe that ASEAN way, as it is now, practiced by the governments or the states, bring in any benefit to the people.
The fact that some countries still hide in this ASEAN way, that this kind of condition should not stay that long, because it hinders progress, it hinders a real
political community building in the region.
ASEAN has to work much more harder and work with the people, to consult the people to find a solution. But that is very, very slow because it's very elite with a protective mindset. No?
Not all of the ASEAN countries are somehow under democratic systems.
Perjuangan kelompok minoritas, orientasi seksual dan sebagainya itu harus terus menunggu tentang kompromi-kompromi politik di antara Komisi ASEAN.
If these practices are to be continued, it is deemed difficult for the AICHR to become an effective human rights mechanism which can address human rights issues in the region.
If we are to have a regional body which is close to us, that body should be even more effective than the body of the United Nations, which is far from us.
The AICHR has still has not given us any window of in terms of dialogue with them or engaging them.
Komisi HAM ASEAN belum berhasil dijadikan sebuah lembaga yang benar-benar melindungi hak asasi manusia warga di ASEAN. Kata protection itu tidak ada di dalam Komisi HAM ASEAN.
At first glance, if you look at the terms of reference of the ASEAN Intergovernmental Commission on Human Rights, it doesn't clearly spell out the mandates such as to conduct public hearings on human rights violations, to conduct on-site visits of human rights violations, or also to receive complaints of human rights violations.
Disability perspective haven't yet been included in AICHR and other ASEAN's human rights mechanisms.
So I think it's a slow process. It's not fully applied effectively or implemented.
It could not actually move too much because of so many blockades or things that are hindering things to happen.
So we really want to see the AICHR which more accountable and also independent and also functioning well to protect the human rights of the ASEAN people.
I hope that from now on, AICHR and ACWC will pay attention to our voices of persons with disability.
To have more investigative power so that they can do investigation of human rights violation in the region of ASEAN.
To be able to point out to some country or some entity that are violating human rights.
Develop into a full-fledged mechanism where we are not only having the ASEAN Commission on Human Rights and the ASEAN Commission on Women and Children, but we will also have a human rights court, a regional human rights court that would produce jurisprudence on human rights cases, and this judgment from the human rights court will be a binding judgment on governments to comply with international human rights standards.
Therefore, we should keep pushing to make the AICHR something that would really be of service to the peoples of ASEAN.
Human rights in here, as well as in the world, it's like cycling, you know. If we keep pedaling, the human rights, democracy and rule of law will be moving. But if we stop, they also stop.
So if these bodies really work for that purpose, then we would be happier.